Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning from Italy and good afternoon to Kazakhstan. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to today's conference, the Italian model for collection and management of electrical and electronic equipment waste in Kazakhstan. First of all, I would like to greet and thanks His Excellency the Ambassador Marco Alberti, Mr. Mansur Oshurbaev, Mr. Paolo Angelini, and all the distinguished panelists here with us today. This event is organized by UNIDO ITPO Italy in the framework of the project Foster International Partnerships between company and institution operating in the energy and environment sectors, founded by the Italian Ministry of Ecological Transition. Thanks to the international expert from Italy and Kazakhstan, our webinar will present to the Kazakh institutions, associations, and companies here with us today the most advanced environmental policy of the field of collection, management of electrical and electronic equipment waste based on the Italian legislation and on the current situation and crucial needs in the sector of Kazakhstan, and how Italy can provide a significant contribution to support its development. Policy dialogue, cooperation, and private-public partnership are essential to accelerate inclusive and sustainable industrial development. And in this regard, UNIDO ITPO Italy plays a key role supporting the private sector and institutions of developing countries and emerging economies in line with the mandate of UNIDO and with the United Nations 2030 agenda. I hope that this event will represent for all of you an opportunity to exchange knowledge and best practices, promoting collaborations and business relations between Italy and Kazakhstan. Once again, thank you, and I wish all of you a fruitful discussion. Thank you. Enrico? No, you are mute. You are mute. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Battaggia, for your presentation. I would like to give the floor to His Excellency, the Ambassador of Italy in Kazakhstan, Mr. Marco Alberti.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Right, fantastic. Thank you very much, UNIDO ITPO, and particularly to its head, Diana Battaggia, and all friends. I mean, links our professional experience. Thank you very much to Mr. Oshurbaev, Director, and to Mr. Paolo Angelini for staying with us today, and to all the distinguished, particularly to the people who participate in this webinar. There are three main reasons of relevance that I would like to emphasize regarding the project that we are talking about today. One is that the project belongs to a key sector for the future development, climate and sustainable energy. Climate crisis is not only a question of politics and policy, it's strictly connected with the future of human beings. And the World Health Organization talks about 7 million premature deaths per year due to the pollution of air. It's more or less the double of victims caused so far by the COVID-19. Every year, 7 million people die for this. And if we want to face this huge challenge, I believe that we necessarily need to involve the private sector as well, and particularly the small and medium enterprises. The public and private cooperation is the only possible way to face such a huge challenge that we are, in front of us. And in addition, the project that we are today talking about, the FIPEE, refers to a specific segment of the ecological transformation, which is the electrification. It's a part of the electrification trend. The more we go green, it's quite obvious, the more we go electric. And according to the International Energy Association, the electricity demand grows 2.1% per year until 2040, which is twice the rate of primary energy demand. And by 2026, according to the agency itself, global renewable electricity capacity is forecasted to rise more than 60% from 2020 levels to over 4,800 gigawatts. So we have entered the decade of electrification, and we need to take care of all the aspects of the entire value chain of the electrification trend. Second reasons why I think that the UNIDO project is extremely relevant is the component of education and professional specialization that it provides. The ecological transition and the fight against climate change needs investments, of course, and a new alliance among governments, companies, and international organizations. But above all, this transition needs people skilled enough to manage the new processes and to develop new business models towards a net zero society. Politics and business run faster than the time we need to educate people to manage these processes. And third reason why the project is extremely relevant and important for us is that it provides a solid example of multi-stakeholder cooperation, which is the only way possible to successfully face the huge challenge of crisis of the climate crisis. UNIDO, which is a multilateral organization, small and medium enterprises, ministries, embassies, join forces in order to optimize the impact of the project, to offer something that we can improve together. Italy and Kazakhstan are two complementary countries. I believe that the solid cooperation that we already have can be reinforced working on these strategic sectors. We should work on exploring the unexploited potential of our bilateral relations, offering the best that each country can provide to the other one. In some ways, the project grows in the wider framework of circular economy. Italy is a top performer in Europe and probably worldwide regarding some of the indicators of the circular economy. Italy is not only fashion, food, and furniture, of course. We are good at something else. And we are a country of small and medium enterprises. We strongly believe that in the opportunity to reinforce the bilateral cooperation with Kazakhstan, especially this year that marks the 30th anniversary of our diplomatic relations, and especially working with small and medium enterprises, which, altogether make 95% of our GDP. Let me thank you once again, the people who made this project possible. Let me say that we are ready to support any possible follow-up of the project in Kazakhstan and in Italy. And finally, let me wish you to take advantage of this opportunity to build your professional future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you very much for your great speech and representation of the situation. First of all, I would like to say that for all our friends that are now connected to the webinar, that they can select the language for interpretation, just selecting at the bottom of the bar the language they prefer to use to assist this webinar. And after this, please let me introduce Mr. Mansur Oshurbaev, Director of the Department of State Policy and Waste Management at the Ministry of Ecology and Natural Resources of Kazakhstan. Mr. Oshurbaev, do you hear me? You have the floor for your greetings.
Thank you.
Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги.
Спасибо.
У меня есть подготовленный доклад, но я лично очень рад видеть сегодня госпожу Battaggia, господина Сепи а также коллег с Министерства экологии. Я желаю вам всем только здоровья, и чтобы мы могли с вами встречаться почаще. Большое спасибо за тот визит, который вы организовали для нас осенью. Мы получили очень большую информацию и опыт, который мы могли бы распространить у себя в Казахстане. Позвольте начать доклад. Благодарим UNIDO Italy и Министерство экологии Италии за совместный проект по развитию международного партнерства в секторах энергетики и окружающей среды в Казахстане. В рамках проекта уже были проведены важные встречи с государственными органами и бизнесом Казахстана и Италии. Была организована поездка казахстанской делегации на крупнейшую выставку по зеленым технологиям «Экомондо», и ведется работа по реализации совместных проектов среди малого и среднего бизнеса. В 2021 году Казахстан принял новый экологический кодекс, который направлен на внедрение в Казахстане положительного опыта Европейского Союза и других зарубежных государств. Закрепление недостающих механизмов исполнения Казахстаном международных обязательств в области охраны окружающей среды, активизацию участия общественности в принятии решений в области охраны окружающей среды. В кодексе приняты особые положения по управлению опасными отходами, в том числе электронных отходов. Экологически безопасное управление электронными отходами и внедрение новейших технологий является одним из важных аспектов для Казахстана. Также в настоящее время в Казахстане идет реформирование и обновление системы расширенной ответственности производителей и импортеров. Поэтому тема сегодняшнего вебинара вдвойне полезна и интересна для нас. Возможно, вы слышали, что именно система расширенных ответственностей производителей и импортеров в настоящее время в Казахстане уже передана в государственное управление. То есть тем самым можно подтвердить, что государство напрямую заинтересовано и будет продвигать именно данные вопросы с учетом мнения и опыта наших коллег, в частности, Италии. Большое вам спасибо, я очень рад всех видеть. Давайте продолжим данное совещание. Спасибо. Господин Сепи.
You are mute, Enrico.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Mansur. Thank you so much for your intervention. It's a real pleasure to see here again after the positive experience in Italy at Ecomondo. And now I would like to introduce your colleague from Italian side, Mr. Paolo Angelini, that is the coordinator of environment collaboration with Eastern countries, Asia and China at the Ministry of Ecological Transition here in Italy. So, Mr. Angelini, the floor is yours.
Morning. Sorry.
Please go on.
Morning, thank you.
Morning. First of all, I thank UNIDO ITPO and in particular Mrs. Battaggia and Mr. Siepi for the kind invitation to participate in these events. I would also like to warmly greet all the participants and in particular Ms. Mansur Oshurbaev, whom I had the personal pleasure of meeting in Rome in occasion of the meeting of the waste in Rimini. The Italian Ministry for Ecological Transition, which I today represent, has been collaborating for some time with the Kazakhstan, which we consider a pivotal country for the Central Asian region. We reached the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding in 2017 with the Ministry of Energy, and the main theme of the agreement was cooperation on vulnerability to climate change, risk management, adoption and mitigation. The 5 years agreement has expired, and we hope to renegotiate a new agreement taking account the changes that have occurred in the meantime on both the Italian and the Kazakh side. Meanwhile, but minister have changed the names, changed many organizations also in Italy, sorry. In addition to the bilateral cooperation to which we attach great importance and which is not separated from other multilateral activities, I wanted to mention the Kazakh component in our project, promoting green and climate resilient development financed by our ministry and the World Bank to support the green and adaptation to climate change in the countries, which we, the ministry, has signed memorandum of understanding. Finally, as part of this UNIDO ITPO Italy project, I congratulate that a component is dedicated to Kazakhstan, which seems to give excellent result thanks to the profuse commitment of Mr. Siepi. We believe that it's just these concrete activities that make the collaboration between the two countries on issues of mutual interest and the close collaboration on technical assistance real and effective. In this sense, it is with pleasure that we learn of the interest in the Italian experience gained in the management and the treatment of electrical and electronics waste. We are convinced that the value of our experience and are happy if it can prove useful for Kazakhstan. In this sense, I wish everyone a fruitful webinar today. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Angelini. Thank you very much for your nice words. Let me say that all honors should go to Ms. Battaggia because she is really the person that is, let's say, she is fighting for the project since the beginning, and we are sure that we will be able to reach all these goals and finalize all these tasks that we have in mind. So thank you again, Mr. Angelini. And now I would like to give the floor to our expert in Kazakhstan. I would like to introduce briefly our guest from Kazakhstan, Ms. Vera Mustafina, that is one of the main experts in the country for all environmental issues. Ms. Mustafina is our special advisor in energy and environment field in Kazakhstan, and she is supporting us in a very good manner in the implementation of the project. Together with Ms. Mustafina, there will be also the presentation that they will carry out together from Ms. Aizhan Ryskulova. Ms. Aizhan Ryskulova is also one of the main experts in this field in Kazakhstan, and she is also Deputy Director of KazWaste, the Kazakhstan Waste Management Association, dealing with all companies and institutions that are specialized in waste management and treatment. So, Mr. Mustafina, Ms. Ryskulova, it's your turn. I give you the floor to provide us with a brief introduction on the Kazakhstan situation, and maybe just 2 words to explain the project to the Kazakh companies that are attending this seminar. Please go on. The floor is yours.
Уважаемый Enrico, Большое спасибо за такую высокую оценку и за представление меня. Меня зовут Вера Мустафина. Я национальный эксперт проекта, о котором уже идет речь сегодня. И разрешите мне вот говорить на русском языке, потому что основная аудитория у нас, насколько мне известно, более 100 участников, все-таки у нас русскоговорящие. Ну вот, уважаемые коллеги, еще раз хочу повториться, что мне выпала честь работать в этом проекте вместе с Энрико и другими коллегами в качестве вот такого специального советника или национального эксперта. Поэтому я хотела бы поделиться с нашей аудиторией возможностями, которые предоставляет этот проект замечательный для казахстанского бизнеса. Можно следующий слайд. Да, этот проект был инициирован, как уже сказали, офисом по продвижению инвестиций и технологий UNIDO Italy, за что выражаем огромное спасибо. И также Министерству экологии Италии за поддержку данного проекта. Название проекта вы видите на экране. Главная задача – это поддержка малого и среднего бизнеса в сфере экологии и зеленой энергии для привлечения инвестиций и развития торговли с Италией. И мы выбрали вместе с итальянской стороной 3 основных тематических направления, которые наиболее важны для Казахстана. Это управление отходами, управление водными ресурсами и возобновляемые источники энергии. Хотелось бы сказать, что итальянские технологии уже находят свое применение в Казахстане в данной сфере. Вот мы имеем самый большой завод по сортировке твердобытовых отходов в Алматы. Это самый большой завод в Центральной Азии, и он выполнен по итальянской технологии итальянскими коллегами. Также предполагается, что будет открыт завод по переработке стойких органических загрязнителей. Также там будут участвовать итальянские технологии, итальянское оборудование. И много еще других примеров, но просто я не хочу занимать время. Можно пойти дальше. Что было вот самое основное сделано в проекте? Конечно, очень много, я не буду ваше время сильно занимать, но вот все-таки самое главное, что было сделано, это была собрана информация, разработана база данных малого среднего бизнеса вот в тех сферах, о которых я говорила, и также других заинтересованных сторон. Это ассоциации, это различные институты казахстанские. Вот. И поэтому мы имеем, ну и эта работа еще продолжается. Я думаю, что будет еще больше МСБ вовлечено в этот проект. Пожалуйста, кто бы хотел принять участие, вот в самом начале презентации был мой email, пожалуйста, пишите. Также огромной такой важной частью проекта является возможность представить казахстанским компаниям свои идеи в виде проектов для итальянских инвесторов и владельцев технологий и разработчиков технологий, разработчиков оборудования. Вот в данный момент 11 проектов уже подготовлено и представлено итальянской стороне. Также эта работа продолжается. Пожалуйста, обращайтесь. Что очень важно, что значит, UNIDO Italy представили вот такую форму, как нужно описать проект для того, чтобы итальянским инвесторам было понятно вообще, о чем проект, что запрашивает казахстанская сторона и так далее. Но, конечно, вот я сейчас думаю, что, может быть, стоит еще все-таки дополнительное обучение провести. Вот уважаемый господин Марко, посол, Алберти говорил о том, что нужно повышать потенциал. Это действительно очень важно. И, возможно, мы найдем такую возможность провести вот такой вебинар, чтобы все-таки тех, кто еще не представил проекты, как-то познакомить вот с этой формой очень хорошей, очень точной, и для того, чтобы наши компании могли больше представить своих проектов. Также офисом вот итальянским разработана такая платформа, я считаю, шикарная платформа, на которой регистрируются различные институты, различные компании для того, чтобы дать, значит, итальянским партнерам о себе информацию и для того, чтобы завязать какие-то связи и в дальнейшем, может быть, иметь общие проекты. И, как уже говорилось, что 10 представителей малого и среднего бизнеса из Казахстана посетили в прошлом году выставку «Экомонда». Мы просто очень благодарны итальянской стороне, что во время пандемии было много технических трудностей, но, Энрико, большое спасибо лично вам за вот преодоление этих технических трудностей. И все-таки все наши участники приехали в Италию во время пандемии и смогли как, значит, побыть на выставке и пообщаться с итальянскими коллегами, так и благополучно вернуться назад, потому что при возвращении там тоже были моменты, когда нужно было доказывать, значит, свой отрицательный, да, ПЦР-тест. Но ничего, я думаю, что все-таки в этом году условия будут лучше взаимного обмена. Какие еще возможности, вот дальнейшая деятельность проекта продолжается? Пожалуйста, мы привлекаем всех, значит, предпринимателей в области малого и среднего бизнеса, вот по водным ресурсам, управление отходов, возобновляемые источники. Пожалуйста, присоединяйтесь вот к этой работе. Значит, можно подать свой проект, описать его и завязать отношения с итальянскими инвесторами. Также планируется бизнес-миссии итальянских компаний в Казахстан, но опять же пандемия может внести свои изменения. Вот цель миссии, значит, обмен опытом, информирование о новых технологиях, завязывание вот связей, в том числе бизнес-связей. И, конечно, я буду осведомлять об этом, и, значит, мы предоставим возможность встретиться. И также итальянские компании были приглашены для участия в двух вот ближайших мероприятиях в данной сфере. Это мероприятие по переработке пластика, вот уже дата известна, 23 февраля, и, ну, это, я думаю, что онлайн будет участие, и по воде это мероприятие будет в марте, ближе к Международному дню воды. Хочется поблагодарить партнеров проекта в Казахстане, прежде всего, конечно, Министерство экологии, геологии и природных ресурсов, лично господина Ошурбаева Мансура Турсуновича. Он, вот, спасибо, что присутствует здесь, и была прекрасная его миссия и встреча с Министерством экологии Италии, и посещение выставки. Большое спасибо вот за то, что он выделил вот это время и поучаствовал в проекте. Также вот здесь на слайде крупнейшие...
Thank you so much.
Сейчас, одну секунду. Крупнейшие...
Thank you so much, Vera. Thank you so much.
Two words only.
Yes.
И мне бы хотелось передать слово представителю одного из наших партнеров, это Казахстанская ассоциация по управлению отходами KazWaste, Aizhan Ryskulova.
Коллеги, я могу продолжать?
Yes, please go on. I just would like to remember, would like to remember all the audience that after the presentation, after we finish with all the presentation, there will be a space for question and answer time. So maybe Mr. Mustafina can also support in translation the questions from Kazakh side to our expert. Stated this, please, Ms. Ryskulova goes on with your presentation, and
Да, добрый день, уважаемые коллеги, уважаемые участники сегодняшнего вебинара. Я хотела бы вот непосредственно перейти уже к нашей теме. это обращение с электронными отходами. И хотела бы такой небольшой экскурс провести, какая же текущая ситуация и какие проблемы есть по обращению с электронными отходами в Казахстане. Но для начала ассоциация KazWaste, которую я представляю, мы уже вот с 2013 года работаем в Казахстане, объединяем более 50 предприятий, которые занимаются сбором, переработкой различных видов отходов, в том числе электронных отходов. Мы имеем собственную систему сертификации компаний, да, на соответствие всем требованиям. И, конечно же, основная задача ассоциации – это поддержка бизнеса, это совершенствование самой системы управления отходами, совершенствование законодательства и решение каких-то общих проблем, обмен опытом внутри ассоциации и, конечно же, обмен опытом с другими странами, более такими передовыми предприятиями. Казахстан, 18,7 миллионов жителей, территория огромная, как вы знаете, около 9-е место мы в мире занимаем по площади, граничим с такими крупными странами, как Китай, Россия, Кыргызстан, Туркменистан, Узбекистан. И средний размер домохозяйств у нас 3,5 человека. И общий объем электронных отходов, они были посчитаны в 2019 году. И по подсчетам, по данным официальным Бюро национальной статистики, в Казахстане в 2019 году было образовано около 136 тысяч тонн электронных отходов. Это вот 7,3 килограмма на одного казахстанца приходится. Из этого большого объема раздельно собрано и отправлено на переработку около 12 тысяч тонн. Это 8,8%. Конечно, это такой очень малый объем отходов. Если мы рассматриваем среди стран СНГ, да, был такой большой проект среди стран СНГ по электронным отходам, то Казахстан занимает 3-е место по сбору электронных отходов. Как же в основном собираются электронные отходы у населения раздельно? Но основной объем тех видов электронных отходов, которые попадают на переработку, они собираются у юридических лиц. Это государственные органы, банки, бизнес-центры, вузы, школы, вот различного рода вот такие коммерческие предприятия. Они заключают официально договор с компанией, техника списывается и передается на дальнейшую утилизацию. Второй метод – это через установку специальных контейнеров. Вот на фотографии видно такой синий контейнер, которые устанавливаются как для населения, так и для юридических лиц. Но таких контейнеров у нас в Казахстане не так много, но они есть. Также пункты приема от населения на платной основе тоже имеются в ряде городов. Также сбор электронных отходов проходит в пунктах продаж, в сервисных центрах, да, куда люди на ремонт могут приносить какие-то части электронных отходов, какие-то компоненты или целиком, если они не подлежат дальнейшему ремонту, в принципе, могут остаться в этих сервисных центрах. И также для многих видов электронного оборудования, там телефоны, да, планшеты, какие-то ноутбуки, есть программа Trade-in, по которым тоже в крупных торговых точках можно обменять или получить скидку на новую продукцию, сдав в обмен свое старое. И также в некоторых, это вот в Nur-Sultане и в Алмате в основном существует такое эко-такси, можно вызвать домой машину грузовую, которая приедет и заберет в основном, конечно, крупную электронную технику, как, например, там стиральная машина или же холодильники, именно то крупногабаритное оборудование, которое людям очень сложно самостоятельно вывести. После того, как эти электронные отходы были собраны, они отправляются на перерабатывающие предприятия. Основной метод переработки электронных отходов в Казахстане – это предварительная обработка электронных отходов, демонтаж и продажа более коммерчески привлекательных фракций. Глубокой такой переработки, комплексной переработки, к сожалению, нет. В основном электронные отходы поддаются ручной разборке. Естественно, в первую очередь выделяются опасные компоненты, да, всякие жидкости, фреоны, масла и также ценные компоненты. Затем эти ценные компоненты, вторичное сырье, она измельчается, прессуется и затем идет на реализацию. В основном на реализацию и такую ценность на рынке имеют черные цветные металлы, различные виды пластика и, конечно же, платы, которые содержат драгметаллы. Основные компоненты реализуются внутри Казахстана, если мы говорим о металлах, но вот некоторые виды пластика и платы в основном уходят за границу, в Россию или же в страны Европы. Также, конечно, остаточные неутильные
just a second, Ms. Ryskulova. Could you please accompany your words with the presentation? Because I don't know if I have a problem, but I only see the first page. So just show us also the rest of the presentation while you're speaking.
Айжан, не идут слайды. Не меняются слайды.
У меня меняется. Коллеги, у вас как?
Одну секунду, я узнаю у других.
В чате напишите, коллеги. Всем видно? Нет, у всех меняются, значит, это у вас проблема. Нет, меняется. Тогда я продолжу, чтобы время не отнимать. Ну, какие-то части, да, вот стеклобой или какие-то скраб металлические и так далее, они, конечно, идут на захоронение на полигоны. И, как я уже сказала, у нас такая предварительная обработка, такой комплексной системы, к сожалению, не существует. Если говорить о предприятиях, которые существуют, то это около 25 частных предприятий. У нас все, практически все 100% предприятий, которые занимаются в Казахстане отходами, являются частными, государственных предприятий нет. Они представляют малый и средний бизнес, и вот предприятиями по сбору и переработке электронных отходов охвачены около вот 10 крупных городов Казахстана. Это вот на карте показаны, здесь, может быть, еще немножко, конечно, надо обновить информацию. Мы вот несколько лет назад делали такой список компаний, можно просмотреть. Это компании, которые занимаются сбором и переработкой электронных отходов в Казахстане. Такие более крупные компании. Если перейти к законодательному регулированию, то, как уже было сказано, в прошлом году был принят новый экологический кодекс. У нас экологический кодекс, как вы знаете, регулирует обращение с отходами, в том числе электронными отходами. Согласно экологическому кодексу 2019 года у нас запрещается захоронение электронных отходов на полигонах. Это такой очень положительный момент, да, потому что опасные отходы у нас не должны попадать на полигоны. С 2016 года внедрен принцип расширенных обязательств производителей и импортеров. Как уже было сказано, сейчас идет реформирование данного принципа РОП в Казахстане, но, конечно, мы надеемся, что он также будет продолжать действовать и на электронные отходы. И есть целый перечень электронных отходов, электронного оборудования, электрического электронного оборудования, которые попадают под перечень РОП. И там и крупногабаритные, и мелкогабаритные отходы, и батареи, лампы, все виды, вот согласно коду ООН, электронные отходы входят в этот перечень. И согласно вот принципу РОП ставится целевой индикатор 30% от объема образования необходимо перерабатывать в Казахстане. Также в этом году был принят национальный стандарт обращения на всех этапах жизненного цикла с отходами электронного и электрического оборудования. Это очень важный документ, который как раз-таки устанавливает все экологически безопасные, правильные методы сбора, хранения, транспортировки, переработки и утилизации электронных отходов. Этот стандарт является обязательным для выполнения всеми физическими и юридическими лицами на территории Казахстана. Также, согласно новому кодексу, предприятия, которые занимаются электронными отходами, которые занимаются переработкой электронных отходов, должны иметь лицензию соответствующую. И это тоже мы надеемся к тому, что это приведет к правильному обращению с электронными отходами и к уменьшению развития неформального сектора, который в основном занимаются только тем, что разбирают и продают какие-то ценные фракции, неправильно утилизируя отходы. Поэтому внедрение лицензирования, госрегулирования, надеемся, что исправит эту ситуацию. Также, конечно, Казахстан является стороной Базельской, Стокгольмской, Роттердамской конвенции, да, о там, трансграничной перевозке опасных отходов и удалении опасных отходов. Также очень важная часть, важная работа тоже при поддержке ЮНИДО, которая была сделана, это подписано было соглашение о сотрудничестве стран СНГ в области обращения с электронными отходами. 1 июня 2018 года в Душанбе было вот с странами Армения, Беларусь, Казахстан, Кыргызстан, Россия, Таджикистан и Узбекистан подписали данное соглашение. Цель соглашения – это содействие созданию региональной системы обращения с отходами. И самая важная часть этого соглашения в том, что необходимо развивать законодательство, надо гармонизировать все требования по обращению с электронными отходами и также выполнение каких-то совместных региональных межстрановых программ, проектов по утилизации и по использованию электронных отходов. Это очень важно, так как во многих странах СНГ электронные отходы не в таком большом количестве собираются, территория большая, и вот создание каких-то единых центров, например, там, одного предприятия для 3 стран, да, по переработке, например, тех же плат, либо там, строительство одного завода по переработке батареек для нескольких стран, это на территории СНГ это очень актуально, поэтому данное соглашение сейчас как раз очень активно рассматривается, все стороны обновляют план мероприятий и надеемся, что будет проведена большая тоже работа в этой части. Ну, какие основные проблемные вопросы мы видим в Казахстане по обращению с электронными отходами и какой же опыт мы хотели бы получить от итальянских компаний? Ну, первая проблема – это слабая инфраструктура по сбору и переработке отходов. Как я уже говорила, компаний мало, компаний в основном малого и среднего бизнеса, и не все города охвачены. Мы, конечно, сейчас должны работать над тем, чтобы повсеместно был раздельный сбор электронных отходов от населения. Также отсутствие каких-то специальных мер поддержки со стороны государства, субсидий, преференций, налоговые льготы. И та же система РОП сейчас у нас работает не в полной мере, тоже надеемся на его развитие. Сложности с переработкой опасных составляющих. Мониторы, платы, элементы питания, какие-то виды стеклобоя, пластика. Опять-таки это связано с тем, что недостаток технологий и недостаток каких-то объемов. И именно в этой части мы бы хотели больше изучить опыт зарубежных стран. Также, конечно, необходимо работать с населением, работа по тому, чтобы было экологическое воспитание, да, повышение осведомленности населения, чтобы они не просто выкидывали электронные отходы в контейнерной площадке или там куда-то в свалке, или хранили у себя дома, да, а именно передавали на переработку. Слабый контроль за выполнением законодательства, тоже она ужесточается, как я говорила, тоже надеемся, что в этом направлении будет проделана большая работа. И также отсутствие интереса у малого и среднего бизнеса, так как, еще раз повторяюсь, это не так развито в стране, и многие компоненты, они не столько, наверное, имеют какую-то цену или большой рентабельности, поэтому необходимо стимулировать бизнес, чтобы все больше бизнес привлекался к вопросам к сбору и переработке электронных отходов. Это наши контакты, наши ассоциации. У меня на этом все. Спасибо, коллеги. Это такая общая информация, что у нас происходит с электронными отходами в Казахстане. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Ryskulova, for your really precious presentation, really detailed and exhaustive. Thank you for this picture of the Kazakhstan situation. Now I would like to give the floor to one of our major guests today. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Fabrizio Longoni, that is Director General of the Italian WE Coordination Center. to explain to us and to the Kazakh audience the Italian environmental policies and organizational role of Italian consortia in the collection of the treatment of WEEE. So, Mr. Longoni, the floor is yours. You can start with your presentation, so to highlight the main features of Italian regulation concerning the collection and treatment of electronic and electric waste. Thank you so much. The floor is yours, Mr. Mangoni.
Thank you, Mr. Siepi. I will exchange the presentation we provide, and I will try to give you an overview of the situation in Italy and how we introduce and act now with the WEEE directive. Small information from our country. As we see some minutes ago about Kazakhstan, we are with a small company, a small country, if we consider Kazakhstan, but we have almost 60 million people that live in Italy. We have in this moment more than 4,000 municipal collection facilities, other collection facilities almost for 800, and a high number of pickup points, almost 20,000 pickup points. We see that the regions in Italy, we have a long country and with many mountains, so it's not so easy to provide the collection in Italy. The context in which we move in this moment, the clearinghouse is the coordination center that Mr. Siepi told us. We have an extended responsibility from producers, and so producers are the main actors for this system. They can drive their activities through collective schemes, especially in the domestic appliances managing, and we in Italy in this moment have 12 collective schemes. They are obliged to work with the clearinghouse, and we have exchange of information with many subjects, as you see in this slide. We operate under the Supervision and Control Committee, that is an organization made by ministries in Italy. We have direct contact with the municipalities and all the organizations that make collection in Italy, and also with recyclers, because we establish some rules in order to force our collective schemes to work only with some recycling plants that are available from our side and that are visited and approved by the clearinghouse. A little bit of history about the legislation. The system in Italy started in November 27 because we have received the 2002 directive forced in 2005 in Italian legislation. Then we have an adoption of a new directive 10 years ago, and 10 years after the first directive that was forced in the law in March 2014. As usual in Italy, the main law is needs some decrees to be completely established, and we now wait for some decrees, but all the system is running in this moment. Which kind of aspects we have approaching this directive? We have an approach that say that the financing system is based on responsibility from producers, and they must cover costs from municipal collection points for domestic WEEE and directly to the end of user for professional WEEE. So the responsibility starts from the collection points for domestics. We work on a system that is based on historical waste. That means that every year, the producers that are in the market in this year must pay for the WEEE collected in the same year. In this way, there is not the possibility that someone has not the money to pay the costs for collected and treat the WEEE. we distinguish the solar panel is different from the European directive in a domestic market for the installation. The panels that are installed in plants that are under 10 kilowatt, and otherwise over this power, we consider the solar panels as a professional appliances. We are forced to work in a special focus on temperature exchanging equipments, freezers and so on, lamps for the presence of mercury, and solar panel and small weed that are very difficult to collect. We have lamp and luminaires in Italy that are always domestic, even though they are used in public activities or public roads or otherwise in other applications. What the producers can do we say that we have 12 domestic collective systems that are operating now in the country. They have to exchange the cost information with the environmental ministry, and in this moment they have to be approved by this our ministry, and in this way we are sure that those organizations are controlled by the public party. In application in Italy, to be a collective scheme, so you have to reach the 3% of market share in one of the 5 groups. I show you that after which kind of groups we collected in Italy, and because in this way we can assure that the dimension of the collective scheme is enough to cover costs that can rise from the field. This main important things is that all these organizations must be approved. They have a scheme from ISO 9001 and ISO 141 because they have a certification for their operation in order to be compliant with these two norms. Master decree, which are the information about the master decree? We need to collect from many points, many different points. For sure, the best part of our collection is made by the municipalities in all the countries. As you've seen, we have 7,000 cities in Italy, and so it's very important to serve directly these cities. We also collect from retailers. The other arm for our activities are made by retailers because they sell and receive in change the old appliances that is now a we, and so they have to operate with us, and we have one by one leave activities also for small appliances, an activity that is you can leave your small appliances like a cellular phone directly to the retailers without buying anything. And it's very interesting because we have a very difficult approach to collect small appliances that can be not in a right way collected by the citizens and by the other operation. What are we doing, especially for the activities? We need some agreements that are signed directly from the clearinghouse with the operator that collect in Italy. So one with municipalities and the other with the association for the retailers. And in these agreements, we have a money price give them to force the efficiency in collection in order to increase quantities and also efficiency in the logistic activities. The last but not main important is another agreement that we signed with the Association of Treatment Companies, where we have established together the general rules for plant qualification in order to have an approach that say that only some activities made by plants in treatment are correct, and we can use those plants only if they are qualified by us. Many other activities are made in our law. Especially, we have a national register for producers because they have to register the quantity that they put on the market in order to know exactly how much is the objective to collect every year. The law established also the our company, the clearinghouse, named Centro di Coordinamento, that is owned directly from the collective schemes. We have many other activities signed directly with the ministry because we have them to understand and to develop their legislation in order to force the objective to reach the objective that the directives give to us. The Supervision and Control Committee is the owner of the National Register and is, as I told you before, made from many ministers in Italy. And we know that they try to work directly in order to provide sanctions for the non-correct behaviors that we can have from producers, from retailers, and also from treatment plants. These are difficult to improve, but are necessary to let all the companies run their business as producers, as retailers, or treatment plants in a correct way. And it's not easy to apply them. How we collect? We collect in 5 different groups because we need to understand that every group must be treated in a special way. And so we have refrigerators, the appliances that exchange temperature, the big whites, and so dishwashers and washing machine, TV and monitor, lamps, and a group that collects everything else. It's important to define these groups because in the collection points we need to have 5 different containers where every citizen can put his waste in a correct way. What we do as clearinghouse? The Italian clearinghouse was identified as a best practice in Europe directly from the European parties, and we in real manage all the activities that are running in the domestic business for the collection of WEEE. As I told you before, we signed agreements, but also we establish internal rules in our statute, in our regulation, that can afford the activities for the collection and especially for the collective schemes that are competitors in their market. And so they need a referee to help them to operate in a correct way. We are private owned. The shareholders, as I told you, are the collective schemes. We operate under public control with the 3 ministries that are involved, ecological transition, industry, and finance. We are self-managed with very strong rules, and we have the power of controls and sanction our associates. And our main objective is to assure them a level playing field and a high quality level services. As I told you, we force them to use only treatment plants that we have approved. We are the interface between collective schemes and collectors, because you can imagine thousands of collectors that need an interface to ask directly their services, and we manage directly with an IT system this information. We run every year over 200,000 requests for collection in this moment. we try to assign every collective schemes the same logistic complexity in order they can have the same amount of costs serving Italy. As I told you before, we have small islands, we have mountains, we have places near big cities, but also places in places that are difficult to reach. And so we try and we act in order to assign them the same complexity of service in order to have the same operation condition. And the most important thing that we have only an agreement with all these local authorities and distribution, and in this way every collective schemes operate in the same context and with the same conditions. Okay, we have many activities, and these activities are run, as I told you before, under the control of the public parties. We define rules. We establish a national register for the Italian plants. We collect data directly from plants and also from the retailers. We assign the activities of the collective schemes operating in order to fulfill completely their market share, and we operate directly with the national register. And on the other side, we are the direct operator that calculate the sureship that collective schemes must provide to the Italian Ministry of Transition, Ecological Transition, because the ministry obviously want to be sure that those operators are correctly on the market. And also, we are trying to establish a bank information, because we need a data bank for information for each product that is put on the market, in order that the treatment plants can know exactly what they can find inside of every product and provide a correct treatment. This is the scheme that we operate. So we have producers, collective schemes. They are forced to be part of the Centro di Coordinamento, and then we assign them the collection points that are registered directly to our information system technology. Quindi individual market share, collective market share, the market share, and the service directly to the municipalities and retailers. Here I show you only an example, but this example how we assign every single collection point in the market where we have, because we need the same percentage of we producers as a market share to be assigned to every collection system. We want to minimize the number of collection systems allocated in the same collection facility in order to have a facility and a simplicity to work between two different parts. We, as I told, assign all these pickup points in order to have the same logistic complexity and difficulty that are traduced in the same costs. Every collective scheme must work in every part of the country. Also, this is related to the same approach in costs. We now have divided Italy in 15 homogeneous zones to assign them directly to everybody that is in the market. We try to maintain a less number of change in the pickup points in order to not to force new costs in the activity. Obviously, we work with the same percentage of put on the market and in the same percentage we collected from every collective schemes. This is the simple algorithm that we used. It's not so simple, and this was implemented since 2008, and we are running this algorithm in every week when we receive inscription from retailers and collection points, and once in a year when we want to force an adjustment of the quantity of we collected, and we have a massive assignment every time in year in our operating year. Our operating year starts in May and in April of the next year. How they all this party, thousands of subjects can dialogue with us. We have a website, and we can for them to enter in our area reserved for them. We show every data that we collect, and we show to every citizen where they can put their when they are trying to find a place where do the collection. Some numbers. Last year's until 2020, as you see, we collected 369,000 tons in Italy. These are domestic appliances, and in 2020, 109,000 tons of professional WEEE. These are all information that I can give you, and I hope that this presentation can give you some more information in the Italian WEEE system.
Thank you, Mr. Longoni. Very interesting.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Longoni. This is a really, as Ms. Battaggia said, a really interesting presentation, also because in Kazakhstan they are reforming their EPR system, and I'm sure that this presentation will benefit them in order to take some tips and in relation with the reforms that they are putting into place. Now it's the turn of Mr. Piardi, and as you know, Mr. Piardi will provide us with an overview of the cutting edge technologies for WEEE management and treatment. Moreover, Mr. Piardi is also the president of ASSORAE Association and vice president of FISE Unicircular, that group all the Italian companies dealing with circular economy. So this would be also a very useful presentation, and I would like to give the floor to Mr. Piardi for all details and all for the presentation that he is going to present. Thank you, Mr. Piardi. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for the invitation. I was asked to talk about the best technology available in Italy for managing a tree. Please, next slide, please. And I will try not to repeat what Longoni said about collection, but keep in mind that collection is extremely important, how we collect waste in the country. Few words about ASSORAE. ASSORAE is part of Unicircular that represent at national and European level the Italian company that works on circular economy. ASSORAE represent around 80% of the company working on WEEE. And we are proud to have in our file the best company in Italy. Next slide, please. Following what Longoni said, you know, in Italy, the producer has the responsibility for end of life of equipment, but there is recycle that have the duty to carry on the job on the field. What is needed for the recycle to carry out our business? We need to apply a permit. The permit has to be requested to proper authorities, can be region, nation, region, or province. It depends on the kind of permit you need. It takes 1 to 2 years and lasts 10 years with review every 2 years. And an integrated pollution prevention and control permit is required as well. Take in consideration that in Italy we have a lot of controls and a lot of institution, policy, police involved in the control. The permit in short state, treated volume authorized, divided in hazardous and not hazardous waste. Incoming waste code, quite important. Process layout, so we need to declare when we apply the permit which kind of process layout we would like to have, and each modification of the process layout need to be authorized. Specific rules for end of waste where there is no EU legislation applicable. And this is another point extremely delicate and important. Next slide, please. As Longoni said, we have 5 categories. I will try in a simply and concise way to highlight which are the main technology available and the best, and which are the pillars of our activity. Let's start with the next slide, where I would like to highlight that on top of the legislation demand, that is quite important, in 2016, the actor of the Italian market agree upon a voluntary standard called adequate treatment for B2C collection. This is extremely important in my opinion, because it's something that goes on top. And Association of Recycles, the representation of the producer and CDC RAE agree on the this kind of standard, where are defined general requirement, specific requirement depending on the waste categories, batch test to check the actual recovery performance, and downstream monitoring. I mean, legislation fix some rules. Here we are checking how the company is recovering the waste in the best way. Next slide, please. I will speak mainly about treatment, but some notes is required also for transportation that is not less important. All the waste must have a document, we call it FIR, in which are reporting all the data of the producer, waste, logistic details, and treatment plant. This document is not so common even in Europe, for example, but in my opinion is extremely important to follow the path of the waste. During transportation, each week category has rule to avoid dispersion in the environment of hazardous substance. Cool and washing machine are collecting in containers, as Longoni said. TV and small domestic appliances are collecting in cage, and lamps in small containers. When the material arrives in the plant, it is weighted and checked for radiometric control before unloading. As you see in the picture, we have this system to check the radiometric control, as sometimes we found some of this problem, and find it at the end of the process will be a disaster, because then the fraction are not possible to be put in the kernel. Next slide, please. Coming to waste treatment, we have 2 main pillars. One is depollution, and second one is mechanical treatment. depollution is extremely important to be able to adapt the best technology to WEEE treatment. With the pollution, we remove all the hazardous components such as batteries, capacitor, oil, cooling gases, mercury dust, and rare earth dust. Let me say that we are collecting appliances maybe built 10 years ago out of European country in Far East, maybe with different compulsory requirement, and so we need to be quite strong about the pollution. On top, at the present, batteries, especially lithium battery, becomes a nightmare. And the information about a lithium battery is extremely important to avoid a lot of problems we are facing in the plant, like explosion and fires. This phase means the pollution is the first to be done, and usually is done manually with simple technology, belt conveyor, within feeder, dismantled workstation, because we need to, there is no any technology be able to face different size of appliances and so on. As soon as we depolluted the appliances, then we can adapt mechanical treatment. And this is, and there we can use the best of the technology available. We will see the different available technology later. But I would like to underline that the economic result for our company is a balance between revenue from the recovery of raw materials, and this comes from our capacity to invest and to manage, cost of the correct treatment and disposal of hazardous waste, service fee to compensate the compliant cost. If we are able to mix these 3 points, we have company able to invest in the future, otherwise the company collapse. Next slide, please. I would like now to speak about the first group, group 1, what we call R1, means refrigerator, or in general appliances with that producing cool. First of all, depollution is the main goal, the gassing of circuit. You know, we have CFC, HCFC, and pentane. One is not used in production. The first one in the last 10 years, but still we are recovering refrigerator with this kind of gas. And pentane is another dangerous gas that we need to recover. And usually this depollution is done sucking the oil of the refrigerant of the refrigerator agent, which are later separated. Processing main goal, which is the main goal, shredding of the recovery of gas, shredding foam release blowing agent, recover via cryocondensation of burning. So we have 2 main technology. One is cryocondensation and one is burning. In the first one, we are freezing the gas and then collecting it and then deliver it to incineration. The second one, we are burning in the plant. And then we are going via separation of the main materials with magnetic separation, eddy currents, different approach for non-ferrous. And then also the plastic can also be treated further to reach 2 fractions, PS and ABS, and PPPA that could be sold as product. Next slide, please. Here I try to show you how is working a line that recovery cools. As you see, the first stage is gas removal, then the removal of the compressor. The compressors must be, from the compressor must be removal oil, and then compressor can be shredder in a separate line, shredder and magnet ferrous, and there, from this stage, we will start from the different separation of the fraction that are the output of this operation. Then we have a grinder and pelletize to remove polyurethane. Then we have a gas aspiration and cryocondensation, as I told before, to keep the gas. Then we have plastic and plastic treatment, and the company with the that arrive to the hand of the recycling is also able to work on the plastic on the polymers. So as you see, from a refrigerator, we are mainly recovering 90–95% of material, positive material, I mean material that we can solve, or negative material that we need to destroy or we need to pay to be rid of, like polyurethane. Next slide, please. Then we have group 2, LDA, large domestic appliances, meat, white goods. Here, the main goals for the pollution is removal of concrete basement and removal of capacitor that can contain PCB, that is quite dangerous for the environmental. And the main goal for processing is shredding and separation of different materials, recover electronic components as engine and printed circuit boards, and finally metal-dominated production of often ending up in metal shredding. Next slide, please. Here you have a simple LDA treatment. As you see, there is an automatic, normally an automatic loading, a shredding, better a machine opening the appliances. Then there is some operator that divided capacitor, engine, cable, and concrete. And then the iron part can go to a magnet to divide the ferrous from the mixed fraction. If we are going to the thank you, to the group 3. Group 3 now it becomes quite complex because there is still a quite important part of the appliances still with a cathodic tube, and the other part that grows but is not now 100%, that is flat screen. So there is two different kind of technology to be applied. For what concern TV and LCD display, the pollution has as target plastic case separation, remove of capacitor, separation of components. Then the processing goals for CRT and LCD are the separation of funnel and panel glass, because we need to strictly follow funnel and panel glass that contain lead. And for what concern LCD, removal of high containing backlights that are inside these appliances. For what concern plasma and LED, the other categories of flat screen, mainly the procedure are the one we are using for small domestic appliance group 4. Next slide, please. Here you see flat panel. Just remind you what I just told you. A flat panel display can be LCD containing lamps, plasma and lead. The first one needs a removal of the lamp, and this can be done or manually or treated in a treatment where active carbon capture the mercury, where plasma and lead, when I told you before, can be treated in a group 4 as a group 4 technology. For what concerns CRT, so the appliance is still with the cathodic tube, we have the first part is a manual dismantling, where we are mainly open the appliances and we are looking for ferrous, plastic case, wood, printed circuit board, capacitor, and then there is copper coils and electronic gun. That electronic gun is the main value in the CRT appliance, and then there is all the activity that is dedicated to the removal of the glass and the cleaning of the glass. Sorry, this is the most delicate part of this technology, because we need to assure that the glass is clean from the dust, and the glass is divided from funnel glass and panel glass. I mean, from the front part of the glass panel to the funnel glass, the part that behind that has a high content of lead. If we are going to group 4, small domestic appliances, what I mean here, I repeat what Longoni said, mainly is all the appliances not in the outdoors, but still we are discussing about small domestic appliances. We are going from phone to a lot of different kind of appliances. And also here we have one phase, depollution, second phase, processing. The depollution has as goals to keep capacitor, batteries, especially lithium batteries. And here, I repeat, is one of the most delicate activities, because a lot of problem in the plant coming from not precise or correct handling of lithium battery. And then BRF plastic fraction, mean plastic fraction containing flame retardants. About processing, we are shredding, because must be clarified, maybe I didn't do it before, why we are shredding, because all the technology available start from a volumetric reduction of the appliances. On this fraction, it's also possible to concentrate the content of precious metals such as copper, gold, platinum, and palladium, which can be extracted and sent to a specific operator called refiners. Please, next slide. You can see here we have a depollution phase. As I told you before, normally there is a line with manual operation, a shredder, mainly a shredder opening the appliance, and then other operator that are trying to that are doing some other activity. If you go to the next slide, you see how is complex then, after the depollution, the activity to recover this kind of appliances, to be able to extract as much as possible the value of the material. We have first phase a magnet to be able to keep the ferrous, and then we have a kind of sewing system to preparing the material for the other step, One step is the plastic treatment. The other step is densitometric with wet and dry separation for fraction, be prepared for refiners, so to keep precious metal. Then we have other two steps, eddy current for not ferrous metal like aluminum and copper, and then optical separation for other kinds of fraction like mixed not ferrous, what we call Zorba, and printer Seeker board. So you can understand that to be able to extract as much as possible from the appliances, the complexity of the activity and investment is quite high. Next slide, please. But if we have a proper activity, a proper investment, a good activity on the pollution and treatment from a cages that you see in this picture. This is the collection of a small R4 group in Italy. You can have quite good aluminum, quite clean aluminum, quite clean copper. You can arrive to 95, 96% of pure copper. Then you can have plastic to be able to then have another step of recovery looking for polymers. And then you can have a specific fraction containing a concentrate of precious metal, delivery to smelters, that is 10, 12 in the world, operator able to keep from this fraction metal, precious metal, and then ferrous to deliver to the steel mills. Next slide, please. Coming to the last group, we are speaking about lamps treatment. Here, I will, in brief, speak about the old-fashioned lamp. Means that the new one most probably will be treated in a completely different way. But anyway, we are discussing here about lamp containing mercury now. So the first step is the pollution. And you see the lamp are collecting in the cage you see in the picture. The pollution, as usual, is the first phase. Control over mercury and other metal in energy-saving lamp. Processing has as main goal crush and sieve, normally full automatic. Control the recovery of fluorescent power and mercury that are the main critical fraction here. If you go to the next slide, you see it's quite simple line, but simple as its design, not simple as it works, because we need to capture all the polluted fraction like mercury and the power. But anyway, the target is to separate glass from the other fraction, from ferrous. 90% of the fraction is glass, and the main point then is to find a good outlet for this kind of glass. I hope to be able to clarify which kind of technology we are using. I am open to some question. Anyway, as conclusion, the development of an optimal treatment is possible, but we need to highlight 3 points. It's possible to achieve the maximal recovery rate, but we need to have an efficient pre-processing, means the pollution. We need to have a clear and possible outlet for critical fraction. We need to have an improvement of process efficiency along the recycling chain. And then last but not least, clear rules for end of waste classification. because you need to understand that companies are investing a lot. Technology is quite sophisticated. Technology waste. Normally people don't know how much of technology were used to recover a fridge or a phone. But then the problem is to be able to re-put on the economy the fraction we are separating and collecting. But obviously, if we are not reaching the end of waste classification, it becomes quite difficult. Then we have a technology selection need to be compatible with such economic condition. The scale of the market is important. And what we learn is if the collection points are close to the person, the collection increase, otherwise not. Then we have quite tough environmental standard and policy. Labor cost is increasing, and availability of investment is critical. Then the third point is that technical, environmental, and economic assessment of technology can provide realistic guidance for selecting and upgrading treatment technology. But the main point is to have a clear set of rules, a clear set of controls. I close here my speaking. I thank you for the opportunity, and I open to some questions if needed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Piardi, for your exhaustive presentation. It was really interesting. And before to give the floor to Mr. Asad Bayzinov, the consular of the Embassy of Kazakhstan in Rome, I would like to remind all the participants that they can send us questions using the toolbar at the bottom of the page, where they can select the question and answer to answer question to our experts. So after the greetings from Mr. Bayzinov, please feel free to ask a question to our expert, and Miss Vera Mustafina will select the best and the most interesting one, and will translate this question to our expert for their answer. So thank you so much again, Mr. Piardi. If you are ready, Mr. Bayzinov, you are on the floor. Yes. For the closing remarks.
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Siepi, and hi everyone. And first of all, on behalf of the Ambassador of Kazakhstan in Italy, His Excellency Mr. Yerbolat Simbayev, let me express our respect and honor to the UNIDO ITPO Italy office and Ministry of the Ecological Transition of the Italy, and other speakers for their very meaningful and impressive presentations and speeches. And you know, the government of Kazakhstan always is considering Italy as one of the strategic trade and economic partners in Europe and in the world. And by the trade turnover, Italy placed on the third place in the world and the first place in the Euro. And in this year, according to our national statistics, our trade turnover is consisted about $9 million US, and also about 266 companies are working in Kazakhstan with the Italian participation. And it's a great honor for us. And also Italy is one of the biggest investors on the economy of the Kazakhstan. And since 90s, Italy companies invested to Kazakhstan more than 15 billion US dollars. And also, I would like to emphasize that in embassy, we have a country investment plan, and according to this plan, is one of the priorities for us is one of the areas important for us is the waste management. We know that Italy, in this area, Italy has a huge experience and a lot of successful stories, and I strongly believe that through the help of the UNIDO ITPO office in Italy, we can transfer this experience to the Kazakhstan. And also from the embassy side, we are always for your disposal, and we are very interested in this area to cooperate with the Italian companies and organizations. And in conclusion, I would like to say that please accept our personal gratitude to the Miss Diana Battaggia and to the Mr. Enrico and also to the other speakers. And thank you very much for having us, and we are always for your disposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. Please, Diana.
The floor is yours.
No, just for a while. But thank you so much, Mr. Baizino, for your words. For us, the strategic collaboration with the Embassy of Kazakhstan in Italy is really a precious one to open the door for further collaboration and cooperation to sustain investment and technology transfers between Italy and Kazakhstan. So now, before to conclude, I would like to remind that there are questions that the audience shared through our question and answer system. I would like to ask Vera to select the most interesting one and read them so in English, so that we can select the among our speakers the most appropriate one to answer to the question arising from the Kazakh companies and institutions that are present here at the webinar. I would like to remind that more than 90 companies attend this webinar, and we have already around, I think, yes, 5 questions, more than 5, a lot of questions I see now. Please, Vera, now it's your turn. Please read the most interesting questions, and let's try to find the speaker that can answer to them. The floor is yours, Vera. Open the microphone, please.
Just a second. Thank you, Enrico, for the floor, and thank you very much, our distinguished speakers, Mr. Langoni and Mr. Piardi, for very interesting and useful presentation for Kazakh partners. And I select, we have so many questions, and I select some of them very important and very interesting. And the first question is to Mr. Piardi. Maybe it's dealing with the batteries. What happened to batteries from electrical appliances in Italy, and how are they properly disposed of? And the second question, the same question of this issue is how do you see the development and organization of disposal, recycling of hazardous material devices that are not economically viable to recycle, for example, such as lithium batteries, and this is not beneficial for small and medium enterprises. Should it be compensation of cost and expenses from the state borders, or investment fund or state support for development and search for technology? So it's a question of technologies and maybe the second part of the question is about social economic issue of this question.
Thank you, Vera. Mr. Piardi, you can.
About batteries in Italy, we have a special. I mean, we have a centro di coordinamento, means a clearinghouse for and we have another clearinghouse for batteries that is taking care about the recovery of battery. And there is, you know, we are speaking about some kind of battery, these, for example, lead batteries that have a quite well-known technology to recover lead. And I don't think is needing to discuss about it, because these lead battery are more or less becoming less important in the system. About the other kind of battery, especially for what concern lithium battery, we need to divide it. The portable battery that is including in the, for example, in appliances. There we have a huge problem. One problem is the battery embedded in the appliances. So in the appliances, and the user at home cannot remove it before going to the collection point or before giving to the collection point. And this is the most critical appliances. We need to have, in my opinion, to fight with the and to ask a firm modification of the legislation, because having this battery embedded is a problem. You know, the lithium battery has this kind of problem. When you cut or you just touch the outside envelope, then the ion inside start to work and it can be fire explosion. This is the main point. If the battery can be removed, then also this kind of battery follows the system of the other kind of battery. So there is company that collect this battery, and there is company that have technology to recover this battery. Technology can be cryogenic technology, chemical technology. I can tell you that in this moment there is a lot of requests for the European fund to develop a proper technology using the best technology available. For what concern the battery for traction, I mean the car and truck battery, this is a completely different issue. They will be our nightmare in the next future. We have some company like the company where I work, where I am the CEO in Italy, that are organizing some hub to collect this battery, and then some infrastructure to recover this battery, but taking consideration that to have a proper site to recover also the black mass, the investment is around 30-40 million euro. Then obviously it is impossible to have one investment of one plant of this size in each country or in each region. And here is important to clarify one important thing. For example, European countries are building a legislation mainly against the export of waste, but in some case like this, and also for negative fraction, is important that the recycler can be able to go where the infrastructure are more developed and the costs are under control. Means that if I need to go in Switzerland, sorry, in Germany or in another country, in no country, or even out of Europe, to increase my recovery rate under some control, is important to have this opportunity. Otherwise, the disposal fraction will become the main problem of our activity. I don't know if I reply to you. This is my point.
Thank you very much, Mr. Piardi. I think that your answer was really fine and appropriate to the question that Ms. Vera asked you. Ms. Mustafina, there are please other questions. Can you please translate another one?
Okay. Also very interesting question is what are the options for cooperation in the processing of electronic waste with Italian partners, and what's the price of the plants for recycling? Please, maybe Mr. Piardi also.
Sorry, I lost you for a moment. The question is, how much is the price for?
The price for plants, recycling plants for equipment or for electronic waste recycling. But it's very, I think it's very a difficult question, because it's dependent in the scale of the plants and also. And the main question is what's
Vera, one question at a time. One question at a time.
I see.
Okay,
but it's connected with one to another. Okay. What are the options for cooperation with Italian partners?
Cooperation, you say?
Yes.
Yes.
For what concerns the investment, we need to clarify one point. We need to understand where you would like to close the loop. I mean, if the investment is looking for to arrive to the end of the process with clean fraction on on ferrous, not ferrous, and plastic, the investment will be quite huge, because as you saw in my presentation, you have some technology to be added, like magnet flotation, electrostatic. I mean, the investment could be around, in my opinion, not less than 8-9 million euro to arrive there for a not so important production. So you need to understand how much is the collection, because if your collection is 13,000 tons, take in consideration then in 1 tons we calculate is including 1 gram of gold. So if you would like to go to the end of the process, to be on the frontier of the selection, you need to increase the quantity of the collection, because otherwise it's not economic. So you need to make only some part of the process. And then if you make some part of the process, the investment could be also quite small. For what concern this is my mind. For what concerns collaboration, I think that the main collaboration you can develop is with the company producing technology in Italy, because we have a good company producing and with high experience in with machine and plant tailor-made for because as you know, we start with plants and with a machine coming from other fields adapted to our needs, and then this company tailor-made the appliances that we are using especially for we. So the first collaboration is with the producer. The second collaboration could be with with company like us. The problem here is legislation. My mind is always to be able to find what I call the control channel between one country and another, control with a specific and clear procedure, where we can deliver in-out fraction for more work than you are doing now, but is needing that these channels are discussed by authority and association to be able to avoid any kind of I mean, what we call free rider, means black situation. That's my point.
Thank you very much, Mr. Piali. Very clear, very clear. And Vera, please, other questions that could be submitted to our guests?
It's another very interesting question to Mr. Langoni, I think. It's in English, the question in English. Do manufacturers and importers have the right to choose how to fulfill the extended obligation of manufacturers? Because in Kazakhstan we haven't possibility to choose some options.
I've seen the question. Thank you. The situation is, it depends on the market. The market is divided in domestic and professional. If we speak about the domestic market, the operator has two possibilities. In reality, in Italy, in this moment, is only one, and they must fulfill their obligation only with the collective schemes. So the producer or importers must join a collective scheme, and then through the collective scheme can fulfill his own obligation. Otherwise, if you try to do in individual way, the costs are very, very high, because you have to select your products became waste in every collection point. And so it's impossible in this way. Otherwise, if you put on the market the products that are only for professional use, it can be possible to operate directly. Imagine a medical advice, something that is specifically designed for an operation. In this case, it's possible to use your individual approach. You have to declare this to the National Register and to explain how you can reach your obligation. I can imagine that you know exactly where is your product, and you make manutention to your products, and so you know exactly when this product will become a waste, and this is possible directly. And these are two different ways of financing the collection and the treatment when the product became a waste. This is the answer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Longoni. Thank you so much. I don't know if there are other questions, but I think that the most interesting one was already answered by our expert, and then all other questions will be see by us and sent to our expert, and we will do also a follow-up of this initiative, so to establish a permanent relations between the Italian association dealing with WEEE and the Kazakh bodies and institutions, including the Ministry of Ecology, that follow this issue from the Kazakh side. So this was for us the first appointment, the first step into the direction of the management of waste in Kazakhstan. A follow-up will be required because of the importance of the stems in Italy and in Kazakhstan. And if you agree, I will conclude now this webinar. Maybe our director, Ms. Diana Battaggia, would like to tell you something before to leave. Diana, the floor is yours for the final.
Thank you to all. Thank you for your participation, and we stay in touch for the follow-up. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you to all.
Thank you.
May I tell some words, Enrico?
Yes.
I'd like to thank, first of all, our speakers. It was very interesting presentation in our event and useful for our participants. And I'd like to thank the UNIDO office in Italy for the organization of this event, and especially our interpreters for their very difficult work. Thank you very much for all.
Thank you, Vera. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, our speaker. Thank you, Mr. Pardi. Thank you, Mr. Longoni. Thank you, Mr. Bazinov, Mr. Oshurbaev, Mr. Angelini, of course. Thank you, everybody, for being here. As I said before, as Ms. Battaggia told you before, this is just the beginning of a big adventure. Thank you so much, and let's have an update after the next days. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.